This is AdhD&D episode 1. Gotta pull up my notes. Okay. Alright, ready? Alright. We open on the Sunlands. Hot, dry, forever bathed in red sun. On the warm breeze, sand flows to the south, brushing against the sandstone mountains that sprinkle the landscape. At the southern edge of the continent, the white stone bricks of Marcelem shadow the desert sands like a forgotten wall. Marcelem is a bustling hub of life and trade. Merchants stand at every corner bartering goods and shouting to passerbys. Children flock the alleyways and passages that run between the tall and sturdy homes. There comes the sudden sound of people crying out, followed by angered shouts as the crowd of people in the street are suddenly parted. You see a group of 4 men, outfitted in dark robes and studded armors, rush past, arguing and shouting amongst themselves. A stone gray face pokes out from a shadow, scanning the streets for stragglers. Ellie, could you please describe your character?
Oh, okay. This is so fun. Okay. Do I have to do it in the character voice?
You can do however you want.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Are you guys gonna do it in your character voice?
Oh, yeah, I would describe, like, in first person.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. My name is Megara, and I am a tiefling woman. I have grayish-greenish skin resembling a gargoyle, and amber eyes. And I'm a rogue and a warlock. I'm currently in the Sunlands, and I'm not too happy about these cloaked figures, and I've red hair at the moment, and red horns, and I'm on edge right now. I think that's it.
Okay. So as you're in this alleyway, you like poke your head out and you look over to the left and the right. You see those that like group of kind of mercenaries or hunters, and you recognize their style of garb and like the kind of stylized weapons that they have sheathed in their hips. What do you want to do? At the moment, they're like much farther down the street,
Okay.
kind of like out of range of vision and sight of you.
Okay, I would like to go the opposite direction.
Okay, so down over to the left.
Yeah, I want to stick to the shadows.
All right, so do you want to roll stealth then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. First roll of the campaign. 19.
Ooh.
So 20. 26.
26. Effortlessly, you just kind of take to the natural flow of the traffic of the street. The bustle and like the kind of reforming of the crowd around you gives you a very good opportunity to slip in and like start moving around. A very pretty face is not an uncommon sight in Marcelem, and it's not uncommon to see very like dressed women just kind of I don't want to say like working the streets, but you know, like yeah.
Definitely.
So you kind of push through and you hear you're kind of going down the street and there's like passageways going off to your left and right. You're still kind of moving down and you get to kind of what would be a 4-way stop, like at this intersection in the city. And over to the left you can see kind of like the main part of the town where like it's more open and there's like the gateway in. It would be over that direction, and you can see more of those guards kind of like talking to the different people around, like asking about for you. And over to the right is more just kind of like a side street that leads to a more residential side, an area of Marcelem.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the more residential side and try to hide in what I hopefully can discern is an abandoned building.
Okay. So you duck over to the right, and it's not as crowded in this part of the city. Not a lot of foot traffic happening. It's not like you're alone on the street. There are people coming by, but it's a lot less crowded than the previous streets you were on before.
Okay.
Most of the homes look at least somewhat occupied with rugs or different types of accessories on the outside. You pass by one house. It looks a little older. The roof has a little bit more of that kind of like sun bleached look to it, and you can kind of tell that it's not as well kept as the other streets on here.
Okay, shit. Actually, I'm just gonna keep going. We're just gonna
keep going. Okay.
Yeah, as much
All right.
distance between these people.
All right, you keep moving. As you get this like, can you go ahead and give me your passive perception?
Yes. So wait, do I just tell you my passive
Yes.
perception? It is 12.
12. Okay, yeah. You get this that like weird feeling on the back of your neck, like you're not solely alone. It's not like a malevolent type of watching, but just kind of like someone else is more aware of your presence than would normally occur in a very empty street like this.
Okay.
But nothing immediately like rings out to you.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going.
You keep going?
Just
Okay.
Maybe slightly creeped out and continue.
You keep going. And for a moment there's a voice that calls out from like this little gap in between two of the houses. Hey, witch! This way!
Do I see what they look like?
Yeah, you look over and it's like this small, young-ish looking boy, maybe only about like 12, 11 or so. Their face is pretty dirty, and they're just kind of wearing like the typical kind of like Sunlands-esque clothing and like tans and browns.
Okay. I'm gonna follow.
Okay.
Duck into the...
Alright, so you follow after the boy. They kind of move you through. They're kind of just like rambling about like kind of like the city and like that just kind of like childlike way of explaining something that they know a lot about. And in this case, it just happens to be these like back alley passageways and stuff. So you follow down these like winding alleys of Marceline. You're ducking in and out of sight. You're moving down streets, and you get to like this part of the city that you didn't even know like existed or hadn't even like been in before. You kind of like get up to an intersection, and the boy really quickly juts over and makes like a really sharp right turn, and you kind of scramble a little bit to follow behind. And you turn into this large square-shaped courtyard. There's sand and rock littering these forgotten floors. It's almost like a back alley grotto. And you see the boy that you've been following. They're standing kind of like at the end of this room, and they've got their kind of back to the wall, like looking at that entrance. And they kind of just look hesitant, a little like antsy.
Can I make an insight check?
Yeah, go ahead. 9. As far as you can tell, this might just be the kid accidentally walking into a dead end and then being embarrassed by it. Or something like that. You can't really get a strong read on the kind of body language of this like kid.
Can I talk to him?
Yeah.
I say, hey doll, how did you know I was a witch?
It's the way you're dressed.
How am I dressed? Just regular.
How would you be dressed?
Probably in like black roguish garb. Maybe a cloak. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the other way. Yeah. You're very perceptive. Why did you let me into this area?
Just it seemed like the thing to do.
Thank you. Do you know a quick way out of this village town?
There's there's a caravan that's heading out sometime this evening. I think they're headed towards, Sunshade. Shipment of goods or something like that.
Well, anything out of here is good profit. Perhaps if you help me get there, I can give you a blessing.
It's fine. Don't, yeah.
Oh, well, you don't need to stutter though. We can just start heading that way.
They, like, are very hesitant to move, like, any closer. Or really just move at all from this one spot. So you kind of just see them, like, shuffle a bit at the, like,
Like towards him, or
No, just kind of like standing in place, very like stiff and kind of just like that kid does when like they know that something is wrong but they don't know why.
okay. Are you afraid of me, or are you afraid of something else?
Before the kid can really answer, you can see like they're choking on words. And before anything comes out, there's this sharp, kind of like slow scrape of the sound of steel against stone. It's coming from back around at the kind of like entrance into this kind of square room. And you kind of like turn, you see these two thugs dressed in the black leather robes, and they're coming up in that entrance, kind of flanking you. And then from above, on the roofs of these like encaging buildings, there is this voice. And immediately as it rings out, you get like this just chill that just like shoots through you. And you look up, and above you is a tall drow man. He's very slim, and in one hand you see a very dark blade, the edges stained a very deep crimson. At this point, it just sends your mind racing, memories of that night flooding back to you. You know who this guy is.
Okay.
You know whose blood is on that blade. And they kind of like twirl the blade in their hands and like sheath it at their hip. It's been far too long, witchling.
Really, it hurts my feelings to know that you took so long to catch up with me.
Well, you're a very hard girl to track. And then he like jumps and does that fucking like whatever thing, like this like just like the fall down the building and like lands.
Superhero landing.
Yeah, no, not a superhero landing. Like, okay, have any of you seen Amphibia?
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene where fucking with the knife and he runs down the tower. It's that shit.
Okay.
And they kind of just land in front of this kid, and like step up to you, and you see that very discreetly a small coin pouch was thrown back at the kid at their feet.
You used my trust of the street urchins to sway me into the alleys. We're playing a little dirty, but we'll see how the night ends.
That is where we are gonna cut.
Oh my god, I love it already. Also, your voice is beautiful.
It's
Okay.
Oh yeah, me too.
I know. I have to like.
Can we pause the recording?
Yeah, I can pause it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just for a second.
Just for a second.
Yeah, I'll pause it.
I'm ready.
Alright. So, we now move to the eastern edge of Orsterra, where the morning sun sends prismatic shines over the waves of the ocean. The coastlands. Golden sands blanket the salty air of the land, and gulls can be heard overhead during all hours of the day. On a small peninsula of land that juts out into the Orsterra Bay is the city of Goldshore. Renowned for its beautiful beaches, it is a gathering point for travelers and nobles. Amongst the tall, decorated homes is a figure, tall and built, poorly hiding amongst a collection of crates and barreled goods. Sid, would you go ahead and describe your character?
Hello, my name is Vivian. I am a noblewoman. I am a half-orc. I believe I'm 6'8", although I don't really keep track of that anymore. I have fairly dark green skin, tusks, ears, the whole orc business. I am what I suppose you would describe as a barbarian, although I don't really identify with that title. And I am a sensitive poet. I would more identify with.
Yeah. All right. So, right now we are near the dockside of Goldshore, and you can see out there is this large 3-mast ship, with lots of these kind of very tan, almost burnt men moving crates and materials on and then back on the ship, kind of just general shouting and that kind of thing, orders from captains or other higher members of the crew. You've been scouting this ship for a little bit now, waiting for its arrival, trying to just put some distance between you and the coastlands. So right now you're kind of ducked behind this small collection of barrels and crates, and you're just watching, waiting for a good opportunity to try and sneak aboard this ship.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Okay. I think when I see the men are distracted, although I believe it is terribly impolite, I try to sneak on the ship as a stowaway.
Okay. Go ahead and roll insight for me.
How does one do that?
D20.
D20. Okay.
D20, or you can click on the
No, I got it.
modifier.
13.
Plus.
And then you add the. Is the what are your skills?
I don't.
Oh wait. Oh, there they are. Okay. Insight and then plus -1.
Oh,
So yeah,
it's a 12.
12. These dudes are not paying attention.
Okay.
It's the era of sailing where pretty much their diet consists of what is essentially vodka water and bread and shit. So they're tired, and they could not give two shits about your half-assed attempt to sneak aboard this ship.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and roll stealth for me.
Okay. D20 then?
Yes.
You do the same thing every time and then add your.
Ooh.
Stealth is. Oh god, hold on. How do I see stuff? Oh, so yeah, it's 20.
20, yeah.
Bastard 20.
So, very well, you're able to kind of pull a cartoon moment in between these two guards. They pick up this one barrel and you duck underneath it real quick, and they just guide you along underneath it. And then right before they set it down, you kind of move out and then just kind of hide up against this wall against a banner post,
I think,
and just
the whole
kind of
time-
wait for them to get out.
I think the whole time, under breath, she's like,
You and your 6'8" glory.
yeah, I'm just,
Mhm.
oh my god, I'm hunched over as much as possible.
All right, so now you're in the kind of main, you're below deck of this ship. You didn't get a very large, what am I saying? A very long look at the upper deck, but you can tell that this is a very well-appointed vessel. So, and as this kind of gentle weave and flow of the boat kind of begins to cut through the ocean waves, and the smell of salt kind of just like fills the entirety of the air below deck. And these like feel of waterlogged boards against like your hands. It kind of brings up daydreams that you used to have of like adventures and like storybooks about pirates and all that things. The lower deck of the ship is tight, however, and you have to like hunch down slightly to avoid like hitting your head against any of the upper banisters. You can see over to your right that there are bunks and quarters of those aboard, and to your right are extra storage areas for goods the crew keeps for themselves. And there are these strange bluish lights that are kind of like blinking in these rusty iron lanterns, and they cast like these very dark shadows into the corners of the room. You can kind of get the assumption that this is a low light, long lasting kind of waterproof lantern that they have either jerry-rigged or set up via some sort of mage or enchanter. As you're kind of... Actually, no. What do you do?
Okay. I think Vivian would feel safer. You mentioned there's like storage.
Yes.
Like to a side.
Mm-hmm.
I think she would want to hide there for more security and not just like in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you move like stealthy there, or just kind of like go?
No, I think I'd be stealthy.
All right. Go ahead and re-roll stealth over me.
That's an 18.
Wow. Yeah. With a very practiced kind of walk, as you kind of usher up the like nights that you'd go out and just like wander the halls alone in the darkness. You make your way over to the kind of like storage area, and right as you put your hand on like the latch, there's this sudden just crash of steel banging against like this hard iron echoing through this like room, and just like shouts of outrage and frustration coming from somewhere else below deck.
So I think upon hearing this loud banging noise, she immediately jumps back, and so the noise was coming inside the storage or somewhere else on deck?
It's coming from somewhere else below deck.
Okay. Can I like try to perceive what it was?
Yeah, go ahead and roll perception then.
Is that 20?
Yes.
Okay. That would be a 15.
15. Goated rolls. Yeah, you can tell that the sound is coming from this small section even lower below deck. There's a small kind of narrow staircase that leads into like the bottom bunker of the ship, and you can hear just like the like general sounds of like just chains kind of just rolling along stone, and just like the muffled footsteps of just like someone with no shoes on.
Okay. So upon realizing that the noise didn't come from the storage place and instead the lower deck, it seems that people are preoccupied. So I think she'd continue to try to move in there to hide.
Okay. So you go back over to the storage room door and kind of give it a little jiggle, and it's locked.
Can I break the lock?
You can certainly try, yeah. Make an athletics check or a strength check.
I'll do strength. What is athletics?
It's a skill.
Okay. But strength is just... And that's a d20?
Yes.
Okay. So I have +4 for strength, so... that would be
15.
15.
You just punch the banister of the door, and it is not hard. This is old, waterlogged wood. It just splinters.
I think she does that, and then she sort of brushes her hands off and goes inside.
Okay. It's not terribly large. They can see it's kind of like this one main banister, and then these just like lined shelves of dry goods and packages and bags and barrels and boxes of just like fruits and bread and dried meat. You can see above there are these just like hanging ropes that are filled with these just kind of like colored glasses of liquid. And it's generally just like this kind of storage-esque pantry type area. There's some cooking supplies kind of set around too. So this is kind of like where the chef does some things on the rare occasion that they cook the food. And yeah, but other than that, it's just kind of empty.
I think Vivian does not fancy herself a thief, so she, although there are things she could take that would be beneficial, she decides to sort of like, I think, go as far into the corner as she can and sort of like, she's in the boat now, so she sort of just sits in the corner. She closes the door, the storage door behind her.
Yeah.
There's a hole in it now. And she sits in the corner and sort of tightens into a ball and tries to be as quiet as possible.
Okay, go ahead and give me a stealth check with disadvantage.
What is disadvantage?
So you roll twice and take the lower.
Okay. Ooh. That's a 6.
6. You are sat in a corner. That's for sure.
You keep sneezing.
There's not really much you can do in terms of like really hiding. But you really get in that corner. You are sat and you are ready. As you're kind of just like waiting there, a couple maybe minutes pass by, and then there's another one of those loud crashes of that like steel hitting old iron, and then just like more sounds of like rustling chains from below.
I mean, she's not gonna invest. Like, I feel like, because I feel like she doesn't want to be discovered on the ship. But no, I think. Okay, here's what I think would happen. She would get up from the corner and sort of do that thing where you open the door just a little bit to sort of gauge, like, hear better and see maybe what's going on. And she sort of like shuffles, like, puts herself against the door, like that.
Yeah.
To like maybe get a better grasp on what's happening.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a perception.
That is a 15.
Okay. As you kind of like get up against the side of the door and like look out through the kind of like hole that's already there, you can see that the main kind of like, I want to say like almost the main like opening and foyer of this kind of below deck area is still pretty much unoccupied. It's filled with shit now. Just like all the crates that they were moving on are pretty much just stacked in rows around here, with this like, you know, still like a path to be able to get into this like storage area, to get to the bunks and to get to the lower deck, but no one really seems to be paying these bangings much. Yeah.
Okay. So is anybody in the lower deck?
Not that you are aware of, no.
Okay.
Just setting off there's a lot that needs to be just like maintained when you're just setting off sail.
Yeah.
But you guessed like about in an hour or two, people will start shuffling in and out.
Okay.
Kind of, you know, settling in for the journey.
And that would be above the sort of lower deck
Yes.
portion. Okay. I think Vivian, seeing that the storage boxes have been moved in and sort of assuming that they would be above deck and not this portion, and I'd assume that a storage closet probably is the most comfortable place for a 6'8".
No, yeah.
And so I think she would very cautiously sort of peek her head out of the storage closet and then like wait a few minutes and then sort of move out against it and like sit against the wall, just so it's a little bit more of an open space for her.
All right. So you do that. It's simple enough. You can hear, now that you're kind of like out a little bit more, the just like faint sounds of this like working song that the sailors are kind of setting their movements to. There's this brief pause in like all the movements you've heard downstairs. And then this incredible explosion as the wood like nearby that kind of like entrance just kind of like bursts upwards, not in any kind of like fiery explosion, but literally just like a puncture wound in the floor, and it just like sends splinters up into that kind of like area, and then just more just like curses and shouting from some. You can tell that the voice is like feminine now. But yeah, it's just a lot of angry, incoherent shit.
Okay. Do I recognize any of the voices?
No, you would not.
Okay. Well, I think she'd definitely get on her feet then, because obviously, like, so this puncture wound is happening sort of at the opening.
Yeah.
Against the corner that I'm sitting in. Okay. I think she'd want to stay on the ship as long as possible, just in case, like, she could get voyaged outward. But I think she's understanding that maybe the chances of this boat departing seem to be depleting.
Oh, the boat's already like out to sea now.
Oh, it is. Okay. So.
You can tell that you're off dock. You're no longer anchored.
Okay.
And like you're in the beginnings of the boat taking off.
Okay. Well, then she's like, okay, and she sits back down. Cause like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right.
She's in motion.
You're kind of like thinking this through, and you start not too long after that like initial burst, you kind of hear a couple voices from the upstairs kind of like talking. It was like, did you hear that? There's a noise. It was probably just the fucking girl. And she's just like, whatever you did. But no one comes down to like check or anything.
Okay.
It's still pretty much quiet.
I feel like the quiet is an advantage. Like, she doesn't want to get discovered on this ship. It's terribly unbecoming for a lady to be a stowaway. So, I think she just sort of hunkers down and waits.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and jump to the next character. Yes.
Alright, so where are we going to next?
This is the Myconid. The Woodlands, on the largest regions of Orsterra, is a massive collection of forest and life. Towering pines hide the sun's light from the ground below, leaving speckled rays shining down to light paths and trails through the forest. In the center of the Darkwood resides a small grotto, hiding an outcropping of stone that rises high into the air. From its mouth comes the constant flow of icy water collecting into a small basin at the boulder's base. At the foot of this basin sits a humanoid-ish figure, silent in meditation, patiently awaiting the arrival of someone or something. Jordan, would you go ahead and describe the Myconid?
Yes, so the Myconid is a 5'8" mushroom humanoid. They have sort of thin bioluminescent blue eyes and a large blue mushroom cap with swirling design on it. They're wearing monk's clothes, loose but still maneuverable, able to fight spiders. I have nothing to fight with here.
Mm-hmm.
I am simply meditating.
Yeah. So, this is your first kind of outing that you've been assigned to by the association to like really travel out of Lao. You've been tasked with this kind of mission to find out what is the deal with this kind of creature that's been roaming around this part of the Darkwood. The kind of humans in the area and the other kind of like actual people around here have kind of labeled it as Gisharma. And you are tasked with kind of figuring out what it is and why it's really being so aggressive and why it only just showed up now. And you are in front of this kind of grotto basin area where the last sighting of the beast was. All right. So, what would you like to do?
I mean, it has to come back to tree eventually. That's kind of where I assume it's I'll probably just wait, to be honest.
Okay. So you kind of just settle into this kind of meditative state, and just kind of wait, let the nature and kind of like sound around you, just let time pass. About an hour or two go by, when you start to hear very far off the kind of like sounds of dogs, some kind of canine animal, and then like these kind of like shry kind of like cries of like injury from them, and then just kind of like silence again. Okay. You get up and start moving. The sound is coming from a little bit to the like southeast of where you were, coming in from this grotto from like the north. And it's easy enough to sight. There is this like large kind of path where all the like thickets and branches of these trees have kind of just been like shattered and just pushed aside and broken. And this like trail of dried blood begins to like pop up on leaves and on the kind of like mulchy earth below you as you keep going along this kind of like path. Do you want to do anything specific? Okay, go ahead and make a survival check. 17. It's fresh. You can kind of get from the amount of like coppery taste in it that these are malnourished, whatever they were. Other than that, that's not a lot you can get from tasting blood. Okay. So you keep following, and this like thin trail begins to lead into this like small opening in the side of this rocky outcropping, and you can see around the base are the bodies of a wolf pack. They're like scattered around. Their like fur is matted and red, and without even needing to look like very deep at all, you can tell that these animals were just slaughtered and then just left there. No like feeding, no like cleaning of the kill, just attacked and then left aside.
I'm gonna check to make sure none more alive.
Okay, make a medicine check. 21. You can tell that a few of them are still like semi-conscious, but they're beyond the point of recovery or even doing really much of anything but continuing to bleed out.
I'm gonna stop the next. To like kill them.
Okay. Really no check needed for it. But you do that, it's...
With a quick prayer, by the way.
Okay, alright, yeah.
Makes it a little more merciful.
Just imagining a picture.
No, I'm trying to get them out of their misery.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's fast, it doesn't take long, and you ease them into the fate that they were already assigned to. And you can see the like heavy trail of like blood that now is like running into this small kind of area up in front of you, where there is this kind of rocky outcrop and of some kind of like cave opening in the side of this like cliff face. Do you like approach and go towards it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's the cave opening is dark, and only those like thin veils of light that poke through the forest canopy can really give you any sense of direction forwards, even like approaching it. And you can. Your eyes do glow. Do you have
Like
dark vision?
I have dark vision.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why.
So, everything to you would appear in, like, you know how ultraviolet is on the red-purple scale?
Yes.
Yours would be on, like, the blue-purple scale. So it's still, like, monochrome.
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you do?
Can I explore the cave?
Yeah. Do whatever you want.
I don't know what to explore. It's a cave. Just gotta go further in.
Okay. You follow into the cave. Moving down, it's this kind of like pretty solid decline down, but these are like worn steps, and you can tell that like there's obviously been some kind of effort to carve out these small little like places for like an easy walk down into this area. You kind of come into after just a little bit of walking, this more like a very open kind of area. The stalactites at the top of the roof have kind of just been like shaved off or torn down almost. The stalagmites as well, kind of worn away, and generally the place looks like more of like a room than an actual end of a cave. There is things in it. There are these very like cheap IKEA tables and shit like that, kind of like set up around. There are these numerous like wooden crate cages with these like iron gates that are like bent or torn off. There is paper and these like charcoal pens that are kind of like scattered around. It's a mess, honestly. You can tell that someone was here. You assume they were doing some kind of like research, maybe, but something has happened that just destroyed this kind of lab.
Is there anything written on the papers?
There are, yeah, so if you kind of like sort through the papers, go ahead and give me a wisdom check.
What an 11.
11. It's very hard to discern. It switches in and out of like common into like draconic into dwarvish into like back to common and then into a tongue you don't even know, just like without care, you know. It's just a hodgepodge of notes in different handwritings, like, and you just like some pages are just like giant scribbles and other pages are like very fine neat writing in common that just like they're just like log entries of just like some kind of like state of these test subjects, and from what you can kind of get from it, a lot of the tests they're doing are not really giving any results.
Can I investigate the cages?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's another 11.
11. There are the kind of just like straw kind of beddings almost in pretty much all the bottoms of them. Small dishes for food and water and that kind of thing. Some of them are just completely destroyed, others are still pretty much intact. You can see as you kind of keep sorting through these, there's one massive cage, probably about 10 foot by 10 foot, that is just rubble at this point. There are like iron kind of poles and like chicken link type fencing that's just been like torn to shreds, and it's just like littering this kind of floor area. And you can see on the top of one of the crates in this kind of area is like a triple folded piece of paper with like a small kind of like vague press down, like a stamp, but there's no like insignia or anything on it. Okay. As you do so, you open the letter. You can see that it's fairly like freshly sealed. Not like in this day, but sometime in the past few days it was written and then sealed. And it reads, "To my apprentice, wherever this shall find you, I apologize. You were right after all. My research got ahead of me, and I became overcome by my greed and hubris. As predicted, subject XXVIB was the only subordinate to survive initial testing. But I pushed them too far, and their growth became uncontrollable. Subject has escaped, and I fear I will not be able to subdue them enough to implant the reversal agent. I am attaching to this letter the final findings of our research in hopes you will be able to deliver them to Lady Vitrina. While volatile, the tests were successful, and she shall want to begin study and implementation soon. I advise you go and meet with Therion. She will have use of your talent. You are a bright student. You know this as well as I do. Do not squander your potential. Flourish. With great hope, Kaiden Perrin." There are sheets of paper that don't have any writing on them.
Okay, I'm gonna, with the electronic notes, copy that letter.
Okay.
And keep my copy.
Okay. Alright, you do so. Do you, on the back of the letter is that kind of like attached findings. You write those down too?
Yeah.
Okay. It basically outlines this like 2-year experimental period on subject group XXVI. And it moves through, it was a 16 subject batch, so like A through whatever it's, P. And pretty much it just outlines like the initial release and implementation of the substance, the lack of effects, increase amount, subjects start falling off, increased dosage, even more subjects fall off, increased dosage, XXVIB is the only one left, increased dosage, increased dosage, increased dosage, and log.
Is there any of the substance anywhere in the game that I can find?
Go ahead and make me an intelligence check.
Well, that's a nat 20.
Whoa.
Where's that 20 the key?
Modifier? No, okay, so just 20. Alright. It's hard to say. The logs don't really go into detail as to what the substance is. There are, like, vials and some kind of like chemical equipment, as well as what you recognize to be spellcasting components, but none of it really clicks to you as being this like thing that they were testing on. That they were testing.
Residue or anything?
Not really.
Well, I'm gonna take this to spellcasting formulas.
Okay.
I'm not gonna use it anymore. Is there any other, like, doors, I guess, other than the one that I came through?
There's a small kind of like section that goes a little bit deeper into the cave, but other than that, not really. All right. As you start to move down that pathway, you kind of begin to hear the sounds of like rocks kind of just like unsettling from stillness and like tumbling down. Just like that faint patter of stone.
Fuck it, I'm going. It's still in.
Okay. All right. There is this faint kind of scratching against this stone.
You scared the shit out of me.
Oh my god.
But it doesn't, it's not very loud, and it's not very like sharp as you'd think like a pickaxe like dragging against stone would make like this very grating noise. This is like a very thin, kind of just like low toned scrawl.
I'm gonna go towards my noise.
Okay. As you continue to approach, your kind of myconid dark vision starts to like form this large outline of this kind of rock, maybe big thing, almost like 8 foot tall or so. And you can you keep moving closer.
With extreme effort to continue being calm.
Go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, fuck. That's a 5.
5. You are scared shitless.
Well, I'm still gonna go.
Okay, alright. You're like fucking Luigi's Mansion trembling.
I've never been outside before.
I know, you're holding like your staff and you're like shaking. You take a step forward and like just disrupt this kind of just pile of still stone, and the giant kind of like formation shifts, and you can like you physically watch dust fall off it as it just kind of like shuffles around, and like you just watch kind of like this residue, or kind of just like this stuff just like just like shifts and begins to like kind of fall around it as it like turns around towards you, and you can see it's this large kind of like almost boar-like creature with a large hump at the top of its back that moves down into like a very thin kind of bottom waist with these massive legs that move out and in almost like frog legs, in that they're double jointed. And you notice that the stuff that was falling off it is fur, as the creature is kind of stuck in this state of growing and then dropping fur and hair, So it's like in this weird, like patchy, kind of almost shaven but almost full. It's just like matting constantly. And it's, I don't know, it's like sad to look at. But it sees you as it kind of like turns, and you can see that it's got these like 4 kind of like tusks at like the ends of its mouth. But it doesn't have animal eyes. It looks at you dead on with what you can only assume would be human eyes.
That's a fucking person. Oh my gosh. Is the entrance too small for it to get out?
No.
No?
No, it can get out.
I'm gonna try to leave this thing out. So I'm gonna piss it off.
It's already pissed off.
You've done that. Congratulations. Yes. Accomplished.
Jordan, go ahead and roll for initiative.
First initiative.
Oh. That's 16.
Yes. God, you've just been on point.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh boy.
All right. So you start us out.
I'm running.
Okay.
Full fucking
All right.
running.
You dash.
I'm trying, yeah.
Okay. What's your movement speed?
Walking speed is 40 feet.
Okay. So your dash speed is 80 feet.
Cool. I'm running.
Okay. You fucking bolt 80 feet out of that room. You soar past the like lab and like physically like roll up, like push up papers and stuff as you run by. And you get pretty much almost to the entrance, and you can like hear the like creature like bellowing behind you in this kind of like it's following you, but it doesn't move very quickly. It like, you'd imagine that like a boar or some kind of like mammalian creature would walk in like the 4-4 pattern, the 1 2 3 2.
Fucking frog.
It's got these weird ass double jointed legs, so it literally just like rocks back and forth at you. It is like a little bit closer than you'd hope it would be. As it comes up after you, it gets about to the lab.
Okay. Is it still following you though?
It's still chasing you.
Okay, I'm going again.
You're gonna dash again.
Dash out of the cave, yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, easy enough. You get all the way out, all the way to kind of like past the wolf pack, and you can hear it still kind of like lumbering and coming out, and like you can hear like the tables and the kind of stuff like that like fall, and some crates kind of like get pushed aside as like it kind of comes out, and you can just barely see the like weird red glow that sometimes like eyes will have in darkness.
Human eyes don't do that though.
They do sometimes. Like that baby video.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The baby vine?
Okay. Creepy.
Okay, anyway.
Whatever.
My ultimate goal is to get to the, like, grotto, like, water.
Okay.
So I can, like, take a bath. Basically, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So I'm gonna dash that direction.
Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and, before we get farther into combat, switch scenes.
Excellent.
Oh, that's
Second
so
shit.
good.
Yeah!
Okay.
Can we?
I fucking killed that.
Yes!
We move now to the Flatlands, a warm and inviting outland full of trade and life. The Flatlands are one of the most thriving economic regions and has some of the most culture and life in all of Orsterra. In the scattered forest that speckle the landscape, a small cottage sits in still solace. Nature growing up around the walls and stone, and smoke billowing out of the chimney with leisure. It is here we find a young-ish looking human. Youngish looking human. Nose buried in an old book. Blue, if you would like to go ahead and describe your character.
Hello, I'm Ezek. I have green eyes, dark brown hair, with teal tips. I'm 5'10", fairly tall, and I have 10 CP.
Okay. You are just at home again.
I'm going to get up and go into my makeshift kitchen area and take some tea off the stove and like pour myself a cup. And there's like a bowl of like herbs somewhere, and I'm gonna like sprinkle some in the water and just sip.
Alright. You kind of just take in the morning. It's been a while since you've kind of been up and like out and about. And it feels okay. Something's different about today. Something feels off.
So after like sitting back down and like not being able to get comfortable and like trying to like and like constantly losing my spot in my book and like having to reread sentences, I'm just gonna close it and put it aside and get up and then go outside and just walk in my like overgrown meadow area. There's like flowers outside and stuff.
Okay.
And try to like clear my head.
Alright. Just for fun, go ahead and roll me nature.
Okay, wait. Let me get to.
You act like you're about to be petted. It's just a nature check.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
11. Your tomatoes are doing okay, having not been watered in about a week. As well as they could do. And you spend a little bit of time just kind of like picking up around, and you get this like feeling of deja vu almost from back when you were younger. You kind of remember spending time in the like makeshift garden that you kind of assembled together at at the old place.
I'm gonna like pull up my gloves a little bit and like readjust them just so they're tight fitting to my fingers again and keep walking.
Okay. You get up and you can feel the presence of someone else. Not in any kind of hostile way, but just that someone else is with you.
Like, is it like a kind of like looming there, or like just watching me, or like? So you said it wasn't like a vicious presence.
Yeah, it's
like,
just kind of like an observer. You always did enjoy gardening.
reminds me of simpler times. Reveal yourself, visitor.
I don't think that's necessary at all. You know who I am.
It's been a long time.
who lives alone, you're surprisingly well hidden.
Well, living in solitude gives you time to pick up new hobbies.
Like reading?
We didn't have books in the slums and stuff. Plus, research is important.
Yes, like you're gonna find some answer in those words written by dead people. You feel two more presences kind of enter in the area around you.
Did you, by chance, bring friends?
I figured it'd be good for you to meet new people.
He's gonna kind of like adjust his clothes, and he's not really fully dressed because he just like got up and was like lounging, so he's not his like best outfit. So he's gonna like try to get as comfortable as possible and clasp his hands, and then like, can he see the other people yet? Are they in view?
You can see one in your peripheral on the kind of like left side of the house, kind of around the edge, with a short bow. The arrow not drawn but knocked. You know that another one is behind you in the garden, and that this person is standing at the door that leads back into the house.
And she's still like concealed. Well, I'm the shy one here, so I would like if you introduced yourselves.
I have to check their names.
I knew it. Happens to all DMs. I get the scroll. Names.
The one to your left is Cydric. The one on your right I think they'd rather introduce them yourselves, and you feel an arrow not hit you, but graze the side of your leg. Intentionally, like a shot that would have hit, but intentionally didn't.
Nice to meet you too. It's a little hard for me to read the room right now. I don't know if you intend to hurt me or make friends with me. But I'm not really into games.
You were always a sore loser.
Says the one who's lost every card match we've ever played.
Well, I wouldn't really know. And you feel a knife against the back of your neck, pointing in like right there. And the voice has substantially shifted now. At first it was definitely Shama's voice, and now you have no idea who this is.
So, I don't know who this person is.
You don't know who this person is.
This is the other one that wasn't introduced.
No.
Okay.
This is the one that's been talking to you.
Oh, okay, like using different voices?
Yes.
Fuck. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Oh, I don't know if I want to ask another question or if I want to, like, try to, like, move away. What do you want from me?
Now that's an interesting question. Because Because I don't necessarily want anything from you. But I need something of you. So I guess it would be from you. That's an interesting conundrum. Kinda hard to think with a dagger against your throat, isn't it?
You could say that. I like my belongings where they are, so I don't think you'll be taking anything from me today. And then I'm gonna try to attack. I don't.
Okay,
I don't want to be in this situation anymore.
go ahead and, yeah, so go ahead and roll to hit with just your dex modifier, no proficiency, because you don't have your weapon with you.
Oh, is it?
D20.
Okay, and then what?
And a dex modifier.
Dexterity. Okay, a 12, and then. Oh no! Is it with the abilities? Yeah. Oh, dexterity plus 1. Okay, so 13.
13. You don't manage to land a hit, but you get yourself out of this kind of situation that you've found yourself in. So your back is turned to them, they're behind you. You do kind of like, you've been like moving your hands up and you've got them at your chest now. And you manage to push the first knife away and then like actually turn and then like kind of cross over and lock for the second one. And then like there's a break and you like actually like are facing each other now.
Is this somebody that I know, or
It wouldn't be someone you know.
is it like Shima connected? Has she sent someone, or like?
All you know is that he spoke in Shima's voice.
Okay, so okay.
The person you turn to face now, they are elvish. They're actually kind of short for, like an elf. They're
L.
L plus ratio. You can see that they're dressed in just like kind of typical everyday clothes almost, and have just like these two very like ornate steel daggers, and they're just kind of like just hanging out, kinda.
Yeah. You look very out of your element. This is a predicament. I can tell you want something from me. Maybe we can make a deal.
I like deals. Tell you what. If you stand there, then I'll make sure that that arrow doesn't hurt very much.
Joke, I see. I'm not too keen on jokes.
That sucks. What's your AC?
What's my one?
Armor class.
Shit!
That sucks. What's your AC?
Fucking good.
Holy fuck.
Why are you guys using this?
I don't know. It just on the online browser, it shows me everything So what's your AC? What's your AC?
With your transitions. Excellent.
Okay, 14.
14. Yeah, it's not enough.
Oh my god!
First hit.
This is the best. This is the best opening for him. He's just trying to read it and drink his tea, and then something comes.
You take 4 piercing damage as a short bow arrow kind of cuts in at your like side. It doesn't pierce, but it just kind of like shinks across and just leaves like a very clean cut. You can tell that whoever is shooting you with this bow is incredibly skilled.
Okay.
Oh my god, I don't know what to do.
You have spells. You have spells too.
Yeah.
Damn, what do these people want with you?
Right.
No.
Okay,
What's your AC?
I know, I was.
That sucks. What's your AC?
Am I able to cast spiritual weapon?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, do you want me to describe it?
I know what spiritual weapon does.
You can describe what it looks like though.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
I think you guys remember the brooch that I was given as my like one item. So that's how as it like channels his magic.
Oh, that's your arcane focus?
Yeah. So Ezek's magic is like blue fire, and it's like there's like flicks of little bits of flames coming off of it. And if you like a stove, like a gas stove, like that's kind of it's kind of like that starting off like this, and then yeah, and so he'll snap and it'll ignite in his hands, and then the necklace is kind of floating there, and I'm gonna try to go for the person who's shooting. Can I
Okay.
can I see the person who's shooting?
You can't.
The short king's right in front of you.
The short king is right. Short king is right in front of me. And, you know, I'm a fucking hit short king.
What does your spiritual weapon look like?
So it'll like flow out of the brooch, and then it's kind of like this like round blade.
Conjure a fucking weapon.
Yeah.
What kind of blade is it?
A Beyblade.
Let it rip.
Oh my god.
Fucking, you just like pull the cord out of your brooch.
That's like a handle in the middle, and then there's like a blade here, and then like.
This mini sword.
I know what the
Fucking like a Ninjago.
Yes. Okay.
And that's
So
dope.
like that. So it'll like flow out of the brooch, and then it'll form around his hand, and then. At the guy. Cause fuck
Are
him.
you throwing or are you just hitting?
Well, am I close enough to like hit him like with my hand or?
Hold on, I'm looking up what this weapon's called.
It depends on what this spell says it can do.
So, okay, so spiritual weapon is a
A melee attack against a creature within 5 feet of the weapon.
yeah,
And
but
it's
the you can put the weapon wherever you want.
Yeah.
So holding it in your hand is something you could do, but you can also just put it literally anywhere within like 30 feet of you. I
It can
think.
attack on its own. You don't need
Oh.
to like
Yeah.
touch it.
Well, then it's gonna be fucking right on him. I'm gonna go for his neck, cause fuck him, little bitch ass. His neck.
Okay. I need you to make me a concentration saving throw.
Oh, can you concentrate?
Okay.
Is concentration?
Oh, that's spooky.
And it's still a d20, right?
Yep.
Where is concentration?
Do you have to do that at the beginning?
No, this is
Is there any modifier on that, or is it just?
it should say so in your saving throws, little section at the top of your abilities. Does it say plus anything?
13.
13. That's enough. When you go to like start making the motions to cast a spell, the second archer over on the right sends an arrow at you. It misses, but it grazes right in front of you, and just for like a moment, you're just like, shit, I forgot they were there. But you get the spell out and it goes, so go ahead and make your attack roll for it.
Okay, which is
D20 plus.
No.
It's not?
no.
The roll to hit is.
Oh, did you? Oh, wait, and blue hit.
Oh, did you roll to hit?
No.
No, so then yes, you need to roll to
D20
hit.
first.
Sorry.
And that's if you hit him or not. And then if you hit, then you roll damage.
Why are we rolling so bad?
I think there would be modifiers, yeah.
There's modifiers, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look.
It's dependent on your spell.
I think it's your spellcasting power.
Yeah, spellcasting modifier. I forgot spellcasters. Weird. I'm a very melee person.
Yeah.
I give a shit.
Hey, you got like cool like key points.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
No fucking spell stuff.
Yeah.
That shit.
So it says hit/DC. Is that what I?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then 13.
See, that's good. That's good.
Well,
That's
that's
better
if
than you
it's
probably
armor
have.
class.
Okay, 13.
Ah, not a good sign.
Is the weapon's tangible, correct?
Like it's like a physical.
Yeah, physical thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So when you summon it in front of him, it's like the double thing, and it just like goes to make the first kind of like spin, and you watch as he just moves, and it's like a dagger just like slides up from within his coat and catches it, and then like just spins it and like just, and then just like turns it off and just like tosses it away.
Bastard.
But it's still there, right? Like.
Oh yeah, it's still like right
How long does it
there.
last?
2 minutes, I think.
Okay, so
And it's like a bonus action attack.
Yeah, so it's a bonus action casting, so you could do another thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do another thing. Do another thing.
like another.
Yeah, you have a bonus action
So-
and
so you-
action and then movement.
So when you cast the spell, you cast it as a bonus action, and you make a melee spell attack instantly. So it's a bonus action to cast. It attacks immediately. Every bonus action it can attack. So you still have your full action to do another thing.
So I can. Okay, that's so. Sorry, I'm still so confused. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that. Okay.
There's a list on there.
Or also just like,
I have. Okay.
if you want to do something, like you have an idea, just say it, and I'll find a way for it to happen.
I have a dagger.
Yeah.
And I can throw it. I'd like to throw it, but I want more like force, so I want to like try to run and then
Who are you gonna throw it at?
at the guy in front of me.
The guy in front of
Okay,
you
so-
is like within melee range of you, so like around
okay, so I can
5-ish
hit
fit.
without-
Yeah.
Okay. Stab short guy. Yeah, I'm gonna stab the short bastard. Now I can't get my eyes, or I can. Okay. Thank you. I'm so new.
I'm just giving you a little.
So
just
scary.
what I would do.
Okay. Actually,
Well, you don't have to do it.
no. So I have my dagger in hand, and I want to like run up to him and grab him and use him as a shield. And then I'm gonna be like, you did this to me, so I'm doing this to
Okay,
you.
make an
Dagger
athletics
at-
check.
at his throat.
Make an athletic check.
Okay.
Plus
DC 11.
What's strength?
So strength mod. Or your athletics modifier, it's a skill.
Oh yeah.
So you might have a bonus to it as well.
Yeah, you
So go to your skills and abilities tab. 14.
Nice.
Yeah, you're able to do it.
yeah.
with the distraction of the spiritual weapon, it like summons in his throat and just like shifts it away, but he leaves himself in like this open position, and you just kind of rush in behind him. You grab the left arm, pull it behind them into like that kind of hold, and then with the other arm, grab the hand that had the spiritual weapon, and so you kind of hold them up against you, facing the direction that the general arrows from the right have come in.
Okay. So I'm holding the dagger at his throat. You can reveal yourselves now, or he dies.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
On Cinda.
My babies.
I need the power right now.
On Cinda.
17.
It's not enough.
Dude, these checks are fucking difficult.
DC 18.
Oh my god.
The arrow, that's what they rolled for to hit.
Yeah.
The arrow shoots forth from somewhere off to the right, hits your hand, not in a way that would do damage, but right at the point where your like hand is holding the hilt of the blade and sends it flying offwards.
Jesus. Well, now you're just giving me
Is it
a
like just
Start choking.
okay? Did it like cut my glove at all?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, fuck my gloves.
These are great archers, man.
They are.
I know, fucking elves.
Okay. Well, this is kind of a pussy move, but he with like these fucking people that are like his master archers, and why are you shaking your head at me? Oh, okay, sorry. And this this guy that's just obviously not giving up. I don't have enough to like attack him head on, and I'm just gonna dip. We dip it. We run it. Fuck it, we walk. We go it. And it's like that's attack.
All right. So you doing a dash?
Yeah.
Okay. So you in this very kind of like, I don't want to say like, I don't want to say practice. So in a very quick kind of movement, you just kind of like hit in at the knee against the guy and just like drop down with him into like a crouch stance and like use him as a push off and just like zip that like 10 feet from you to the door and then just like and then like get in and like close it against you. And you can hear just like the single like as an arrow hits in right at the like doorknob right there. It doesn't get through, but it was just like a second after you.
Okay. So I'm inside.
You're inside your house now.
And, I'm gonna lock the door.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna my dining room like area is in the front entrance part of the house, and so I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna like grab my pack off the table and like start shoving a bunch of things in it, like a book and my journal, and just like put a bunch of stuff in there, and then I'm gonna like all the essentials, and then I'm gonna leave out the back. And I'm just gonna towards
The back?
the back. There's a back.
You were in the back.
Oh, I was.
You were in the garden.
Okay, then I'll go. Oh, right. So I'll go out of the front.
Yeah, okay.
We're straight back into that bag.
Yeah. Okay. Oh shit! That's the wrong way.
Shut the book. Now I can find them.
Throws the book at Okay. So he has his pack on, and he's gonna go out the front, not
Okay.
back into the shitstorm, and just I guess towards like the city central area.
Okay. So you get out the door and you start going. You can do you turn around and look and see if there's if they're chasing or if they're anything like that, or you just run?
Yes. I wanna see if.
Never look back. Orpheus, what are you doing?
Alright, you look over your shoulder for a moment. You see the guy that was just kind of like dressed in the fairly nice clothing with all the daggers. He's just kind of like standing there with his hands on his hips like, damn. You can see the other archer just kind of like next to him like, are we gonna do anything?
Did I get like a it was just like a glance, or was like a way to like get like a hair color or like a or like dressed in things where it's like covering their identity?
No, okay, so the guy on the left is a from what you could kind of see, you assume them to be maybe half orcish. You know that this one's name is Therion, as it was the one that further, or at least you assume that their name was Therion, because that's what they told you. They are kind of just dressed in the like kind of black leather clothing of just like a mercenary and stuff like that.
How did you spell their name?
Therion. And then as for the second guy, they've got like very stylized blonde hair. What did you say? Oh.
I thought you said towhead.
Oh, so he's a
Towhead.
Of course, a towhead would attack me.
It's just bad.
And so, okay, so there was, you said Sidra is one of them, or was that one of the other person's names? Was there two people introduced that had like different names?
No. So there was just the one
Okay.
that was introduced. The main guy used Shemai's voice,
Okay.
but you didn't find out his name afterwards.
Okay.
But when you do, you turn around, you see those two over on the left side of the house, and on the roof, you see the third figure. It's a halfling, like, girl. Like, very young looking. Dressed in, like, a ghillie suit.
Okay.
What now? Oh.
Like a camouflage suit.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
These fuckers.
Yeah.
With like, and like you remember seeing the arrows, they were full-length arrows.
Yeah.
And you can see the bow that she like has. She doesn't have it drawn, she has a knocked arrow. It's a full longbow. Shorty squad. Kicking ass, taking names.
Okay, so with that glance, as you can see enough, he's gonna keep going. He's like, fuck it, you know?
Fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball.
This sucks. Fuck. Why are you leaving all of my moves behind? But I guess I have no other option here. So he's gonna keep running.
Okay. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and end this session.
No!
I want to keep going. It's only 8:30.
Okay,
It is 8:30.
so
Yeah, it's only
the
8:30.
person,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna reveal